No, nothing that came in.
Okay.
Oh, David, if I might though, we
Yes.
have that thing from MACC regarding, I guess I call it the tolling thing, where I think some commissions haven't had meetings because of the virus. They don't have computers or whatever else. But as of December 1st, everybody's got to start getting with the program again. And then I checked with DEP because because they kind of put permits on hold. So I was asking about permits that were expiring within that period. Order conditions, they have the 3 years. And how did it work, right? There's still, even the expiration is still under that blanket. It's still in that tolling period. But she said it would be a good idea for people who have had permits that recently expired or will be expiring to ask for an extension just to keep them going again. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay. All right, at 7:15, we'll go to 180 Union Street, notice of intent. Is anybody here from 180 Union Street? Okay, and we still don't have all the information, so we'll continue this till the January meeting and see if somebody shows up, and then take the appropriate action at that time. So if I could have a motion to continue 180 Union Street, 240-0635.
At 7:15? You want? Last meeting, 7:10.
We did 7:10 for its Valentine, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
7:20?
Oh, sorry.
That's
Sorry, Amy.
Yeah,
You-
7:15.
7:15, okay.
Ally Fair, move to continue the 180 Union Street hearing, notice of intent 240-0635 to our January meeting at 7:15.
I second. Jim Wilson.
Okay, any other comments? Dave Turi, aye.
Ally Fair, aye.
Jim Wilson, aye.
Ed LaBerge, aye.
Val?
Val Stone, aye.
And can Alex vote on this one?
Alex Whiteside, aye.
Okay,
Alan Finney, aye.
okay. It passes, and it's on for 7:15 on the 13th.
Dave, if I can just interject, I want to let you know, David, that we actually are live now, that it's working and we are live.
Okay, so we have audio and video, good. Well, we have almost, 8 minutes. Is Valentine Drive, 16 Valentine Drive on?
Yes, we are.
Is somebody here for 16 Valentine?
Yes, sir.
They answered.
Oh, okay. Why don't we jump over down to that as old business and see if we can clear this up for you, okay?
Thank you.
Could we just confirm names, please?
Zach and Sarah Chafkin,
Thank you.
And the address is,
16 Valentine Drive.
okay. Janet, you've been out there, you've looked, you took pictures.
Yeah, oh, yes, sir. Good point. Yep, and I sent those along to people. And I did that second page just because the little tiny ones on the bottom of the regular sheet didn't really show up much.
I'm getting them.
You're next, aren't you?
Okay, and so this is the issue of where a parent, possible wetland violation. Janet's been out there, and there are wetland delineations, GLM did that. And really, you've come up to the wetland buffers, but you haven't passed into it. And so I don't see where we need to do anything more than, you've done the erosion controls. Maybe in the spring, put some grass out there.
Yep.
Does anybody on the commission have some comments or questions?
If I can, David, if I could just bring up one thing.
You may.
Thank you, sir. It's just odd because the copy I had the black Sharpie marker marking out the flags, which are hard to see on this, but like that upper left-hand picture, the lower left-hand corner, that's fill that was put in. You've got the siltation barrier. Behind it, that pipe is the connection pipe to the property next door, 18 Valentine. Oh, good for you. Thank you, person. So the water can come from 18 Valentine through this pipe, and then that back area there is the wetland area. So the fill that's here is not in the wetland. The wetlands were delineated by GLM. The fill is in the buffer, which would be a local bylaw, the 0 to 50 foot. So their fill is not in the wetland area. And even I was reading through the handbook today, and what they're saying is, normally if somebody was going to do work, you'd have them do a request for determination, and then you're determining, with the thought of like for a potential violation, did they do any impacts? Is this something that you would normally let them do? So the only question per se is that they didn't check with the Conservation Commission ahead of time, but their fill is not in the wetland area as delineated.
Okay, but I think we should add that they did come into the conservation office and was given direction by one of the administrative personnel that was okay to fill in, correct?
Correct.
And I think that's an important part of this as we determine your case. Any questions from the commission?
I just have one, Dave, I'd like to ask is, I'm looking at that upper left-hand corner picture. Is that an outfall pipe?
Yes.
Is that go far in? Is there any grading or anything on that?
It's actually sitting about, I don't know, maybe 6 inches above the bottom of that retention basin. It's an old retention basin, which I don't know if it goes back to the 1980s.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been talking to Barry over at Public Works about that, but if you follow the line of that pipe, I don't know if it's 10, 20 feet long. So you've got that berm, that hump over the pipe that kind of holds it in. It's an old pipe,
Yeah.
cracked and everything, but it's because it's above the ground like that, the retention basin behind it has got to fill up with water until it can reach, the bottom of this pipe to come through and keep on flowing. So I think at some point, Public Works is supposed to be addressing retention basins in town. So.
Okay, I mean, my other concern, if that's town owned, or if it's part of the town, is children or a child crawling up inside that thing. That's what I'm looking at. It's
Yeah, you can crawl right if you were small enough. Not that I'm implying anything about you, Al, but you can go right through that. It's I don't know.
okay, so it's not long. It goes. It's an open end on the other end.
Yeah, same
Okay.
thing all the way through, and it's probably about a 36-inch wide pipe.
Yep. Okay, that answers my question, Janet. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
Hi, yes, this is Jason Gilbody. I'm the neighbor at 18 Valentine Drive.
Yes,
I was just curious. I mean, I know that the Chafkins next door went through and they made these modifications to their land without actually seeking the approval of the commission. The modifications that they made were significant. If you look at the amount of trees and vegetation that they cleared, it's about half a football field. They brought in over 100 dump trucks full of fill. So the modifications that they made to their land have actually significantly impacted our land in that they're shifting all of the rainwater and all of the water that is being collected. The land behind us, right abutting this, has never had standing water. And ever since they have, the standing water has been consistent every time there's a rainstorm. There's been so much significant standing water at 2 points over the course of the past year that it has actually seeped into our well water, where we actually will.
Oh, lovely neighbors.
Excuse me.
no, go ahead, Jason.
So we've gotten a smell of algae in our because of the so much standing water in the back. We've lived here for 7-8 years prior to these modifications, and that has never happened. We've never had standing water back there. At most, there's a stream that is a man-made retention stream that diverts the water from the road into this retention area. And we really feel that we are sort of robbed of our due process of sort of having a discussion about these modifications and sort of considering the impacts that they have to our land and the retention area that's there, because they went ahead and they made these really significant modifications to their land without actually getting permission from the Conservation Commission and allowing us to have a hearing to sort of discuss all of these things beforehand.
We understand, well, I understand, and I think Janet understands. I can't answer for all the commissioners. They can do that after my statement, but again, they were directed that they could do this without any permitting process or any hearing. And so
who gave them that permission though? I mean,
somebody in our office that didn't have the authority to do that.
I mean,
which is bad on our part.
Yeah, but I understand that. And so if that happened, have you had a conversation with somebody in your office that sort of reiterates that conversation actually happened and they admit to giving them this verbal okay to make these modifications that have seriously impacted our land? And
we do have confirmation of that.
Okay. I mean, they are within the buffer zones, right? And so
the town, under town bylaws.
Sure. So the 50-foot and the 100-foot buffer zones, because they're running right up to the wetland area. And the modifications that they've made to their property have actually spilled over onto our property and are, I think, theoretically violating our buffer zones as well. They never surveyed the land. They didn't do any of those things before making these modifications.
Right.
Dave, could I ask a couple of questions of
Sure.
Janet? Janet, is the fill within the 50-foot?
Yes, the part down back by the siltation fence. Right after the siltation fence are where the wetland flags start, and then they slowly drift away from that wetland fence as you get over to the right-hand side of the property.
And we have a no disturb under the local bylaw, right, for the 50
For
foot?
the 0 to 50, yes. Which doesn't always get adhered to, just saying.
May I also add that the drainage easement that is behind our property also cuts into their property, right? Beyond just that culvert that Janet showed a picture of.
You've got retention basin behind you, and then back where the pipe is on their property, that's the beginning of the
No,
retention.
if you look at the land map that I sent you, that is part of their deed.
Yeah, they've got a little triangle there
They
too.
do have
And
a
I've,
little triangle,
I've
right?
talked to Public Works about that.
Okay,
Because Public Works are the ones who's supposed to be taking care of detention basins in town.
okay, but I mean, they've still filled that retention basin, that portion of
Okay,
the retention basin.
So I don't know
And
if
it's
that would
also,
be, no, go ahead.
sorry, but because they have filled that portion of their retention basin and also all of this other fill that's on their land, it's causing the retention basin behind us to do more of the work, right? Because now they have this, you know, flat area that's the size of at least half a football field that's now diverting water into our property and causing standing water to be there.
Janet, did the fill go into the retention area?
If you look at that plan in front of you, I think that little, right on the property line, that little half a box there.
Yes.
Bless your heart. Yeah, that section there.
It's over our property line. So that straight line that splits our two lots, the fill is past that onto our side.
Yeah. And we don't know about how much because the land was never surveyed before they made these modifications.
Well, forgive me, I'm not, but property lines isn't our,
I understand that. I'm just saying.
okay, super, thank you.
But just for visual purposes, the little triangle there that's over there, the fill is past our property line, so you can see the extent on the to the side of where it goes, essentially.
And the one thing that this map is missing, and I don't have a good feel for it, is where that culvert is, that tube in the ground that Janet was showing pictures of before, because their fill goes all the way up to that culvert. And I haven't seen a map that shows where their buffer zones are, whether they're the 100-foot or the 50-foot in relation to that. And all I can see when I actually physically look at the land is that they have filled all the way back to that culvert and the wetlands that are, you know, running up to it on the opposite side.
Okay, our agent Janet has looked at the wetland maps and it knows what's what.
I mean, is
that's why we're
that
getting
something
her
that's
advice on this? Alex,
Yeah,
do you have any further questions, additional questions,
well, I'm a
comments?
little uncomfortable with the fact that we're leaving fill in a no disturb area, but I suppose, Janet, if you're satisfied that whatever erosion controls are there are going to prevent runoff into the actual resource area, I guess that would give me some comfort.
Yeah, that fill's been there for a while. And he did the erosion controls, and on that back slope where you saw the siltation barrier, he's got wood chips down there and nothing's, you know, I've been there several times and nothing's eroding down to the bottom there.
And the long-term plan is to seed the area to stabilize it.
That's what he's been wanting to do, yeah.
I'm sorry,
But it's on hold
can I
right-
interject for a quick second?
No, you're not recognized at this point, Jason.
Okay.
And I guess my question for the property owners here would be why was this area filled to begin with?
Can I be recognized?
Yes, please, Dave.
Thank you. There was not much of a backyard here. We wanted to level it out. We have a son with special needs, and at the time he was not able to navigate our backyard whatsoever. So we had filled everything in. I'd be more than happy to provide somewhat of a timeline for you guys if you'd like. But we had just we had contacted Jason and Joanne next door. We told them of our intentions. We made our other abutting neighbor, the Wolfels, aware of it as well. And we went down to town hall, Sarah and I both, and we had the conversation that was previously noted. And we went from there.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on the commission?
Yeah, this is Fred. I guess I'm not clear on, how we move forward with the resolution of this dispute between the two landowners, and where does the Conservation Committee?
It's not a
Commission-
dispute, Fred, it's not a dispute between the landowners. It's regarding this property and if there's wetland violations. What goes on between neighbors is not part of our directive.
Understood, but I'm asking, what is our role in this? Because I heard the possibility that other town agencies are also involved. I'd just like clarity on it, that's all.
Okay, no problem. And we do want neighbors to get along and an outcome that's, again, everybody can agree on. Yeah, DPW has answered Janet's questions about retention basins and maintenance of them. And so they have to develop a plan to go out, and this one, and plus there's other ones around town that haven't been maintained over the last few years that need to. And so we don't know what that impact will do. All we can do is look at the facts that we have in front of us now. Any
Janet, will you be,
questions?
sorry, Dave.
No, go ahead.
Janet, will you be taking a look at this area in the spring again, just to see how the grass is growing and how everything looks at that point?
I would, yeah.
I think that would be good.
Any other commissioners? Okay, Jason?
I have a question about the statement that Janet made earlier, the wood chips and sort of, the preventative measures that is, meant to control. Those wood chips were just put down a week or two ago. I know that I've sent some images and videos to Janet the other day that shows that, that over the past year, there hasn't been any prevention of, sort of erosion and flow off from there. We've had as much as a foot of standing water in our backyard because of these modifications. And to me, it's just, I don't understand how somebody can just make modifications to their land without formal written approval and without formally going through the process that your wetlands protection bylaw states, and sort of not allowing us to have any ability to protect our land and the impacts that it's having there. Particularly since, one more quick thing, please.
Yes.
So Janet did contact the Chafkins back in July of last year as these modifications were happening. They refused to let her onto their property. And then in September of 2019, she sent them a certified letter that they refused and wouldn't actually, accept.
If
And
I
so,
can clarify that, Jason, that's not true. Originally,
that's what you explained to us.
when this originally came up, I went next door when the trucks were going on, but we don't have permission to just access people's property. We need their permission. And I just personally, she had her children with her. She had no idea what was going on. She looked upset and I left. I did up the letter. We sent it certified. They never got the certified mail. So it's not that they refused it. So I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to clarify. I also heard from DEP saying we should also send it regular mail. Okay, well, hindsight is regular. I thought certified mail would work. And also to point out behind you, that's a retention basin for retaining water after storms. The water from
that never happened.
Please don't interrupt.
Sorry.
I think Barry from Public Works, because I was just in touch with him. What's today, Wednesday, maybe this week, last week. And he sent me a plan where, the catch basins in the area, plus from the road alongside here, those are all geared, all that water drains to that retention pond behind them. So when we get a lot of rain, the whole neighborhood water goes there. That is also, according to GLM, that retention basin is not a wetland area. So it's an area for water to go when we have these storm events or, you know, snow melt or whatever. So that retention basin is not our jurisdiction. That's back where the pipe is, where that pipe is that you saw in that first picture. That's where the wetlands are, and that's our jurisdiction.
So does,
Go ahead.
Could I just say something real quick? You know, this is what it is what it is. My comment is more about the process, because in 2013, when we moved into this house, I made a very concerted effort to go stand in front of you as a commission and ask permission to remove like 3 trees that are above the retention basin and do it correctly. I went in, I prepared a statement, I asked for permission, and you guys said no. So we haven't done anything. We have a 12-foot backyard, but instead, alternatively, apparently we should have just done it and asked for forgiveness instead. And I think that's what's most frustrating here, is that we tried to do the correct thing, make an appearance and ask for permission. All I wanted to do was create a backyard that was 4 feet longer than it is right now. We didn't have any fill. We weren't going to make any significant changes. All we wanted was to put a fence up, because we also have a child with special needs, and I didn't want to have to walk my dog every day.
Okay.
We followed your guidelines and we did what we were supposed to do. And
you have a fence in your backyard.
we do, but I wanted to put it at the end. You and I talked about it, Janet. I showed you where I
know.
had
No,
wanted
calm
to
down.
put
No,
it.
I know.
And
And
I don't understand how it's a double-edged sword here. And
Well-
just that's all I want to say. It is what it is at this point, but it's frustrating.
It's really not. I mean, what should have happened is when they came into the office, they should have had Janet answer their question and give them guidance, which would have been to come in before the commission and do the process like you did.
Right, but they
Unfortunately,
didn't.
that was
talk
not
to somebody?
done. That was
Janice's
not
the only
done.
person in conservation at the town hall, isn't she?
Yes, but somebody took it upon themselves to answer their questions and give them guidance. And
So then how could we go about making
I'm
changes?
addressing that.
So would the same thing be afforded to us if we went in and talked to Betsy and she said, sure, go ahead, take some trees down? Would the same thing be afforded to us? I guess that's my question. It
No.
doesn't seem fair.
No,
Because
because
it's more than $1,000 to ask for permission. but to
It's
do it-
gonna be shut down. Both Amy and Betsy, whoever are at those 2 desks, do not answer conservation questions.
Sir, but isn't it their responsibility as the landowners to know that they have this retention basin on their property? That's something that's in their deed. And if you look at any of the
Well,
wetlands
that's why I
protection
think they came.
bylaws,
I think that's why they came in front of us in the office, and somebody did not follow procedure.
So our
that-
land is impacted because of that decision. And that's frustrating because I understand that that's a retention basin. And obviously that's the goal. If we have a 100-year flood, it will flood and none of the other houses will. And that's understandable. And that we knew that when we purchased the house. But we've never in 8 years had standing water. We have 2 kids and a dog. Standing water is going to breed mosquitoes. It's going to be just as impactful on their land as it is on ours, as far as having a pond back there now. And we would like to know what we can do to rectify that. If there's anything that the commission will do to support a survey or some kind of engineering review to see if there's a way that the land should be changed or modified even slightly so that that drainage continues to drain as it did before the modifications were made.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Anybody else, abutters have any?
I don't want to beat this a dead horse, but I do have one question that we haven't addressed yet.
Yes.
He did bring in, or they did bring in, 150 dump trucks full of fill. Is there any sort of testing or anything that goes on to make sure that that fill isn't contaminated? And, we already have concerns about the quality of our well water because of the now standing water that is happening on our property. And we have no idea where this fill is. And I don't know of any testing or, checking of that was done that could be seeping stuff into our groundwater.
Janet, do you have any?
No, I'm not sure. Forgive me, I never really thought of where fill comes from. You know, you always just assume it's just dirt from somewhere else that people haven't used, you know.
Isn't that more of a planning board issue? Because they're the ones that authorize developments and movement of soil? Alex,
I don't
do you
know.
have any?
I don't know if it would be them or building department. And I don't
Yeah.
know who oversees the question of fill.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
either.
that normally comes in the planning board review, I think.
Planning board.
Normally for subdivisions and things like that.
I mean, because it's not like it was a dump truck full of fill. We're talking about, 100 and
Well,
100.
I suppose we could ask the owners, do they know where the fill came from?
No, sir. We hired a company that was doing excavation in the local area for another development, and they brought it in.
Okay, so it came from a different development.
Yeah, not here in Norfolk, one of the abutting towns.
Okay. Do you know if there's a residential development?
I believe it was, yes.
All right.
I never
In that
inspected the
case,
site where it came from.
Yeah. If it's coming from a different residential development, I think the concerns about contamination should be lessened.
Okay,
If that's documented.
okay. Commissioners, thoughts? On how we should proceed?
Well, I have, David, if the commission is looking to see if the wetlands were filled in at some point, the only way to do this would be with a soil survey to go past the fill and into the areas that were original to see the organic layers and the typical soil that would be in a wetland, and that would be the only way to do it. But
Which we have done on other sites.
we've done it, done it several times, and it's not that big of a deal to, but it'd have to be somebody that knew what they were doing.
Yes. Janet, when can that be done? Any time of the year?
I have no idea. Sorry.
Soil samples?
I would assume as long as they can get through the soil, if the soil's not frozen, they would be able to.
Okay,
We would probably have to ask Beta, Dave.
they're one of them, yeah. Janet, do you think that information will provide us additional information to use that, to make a decision? Or direction?
Well, I don't, and it's tough too, because, you know, any of the maps that you look at, Oliver, or any of those, they're just reference only, you know? So if people wanted to know that information, I could see where maybe spot checking starting back from where that wetland line, where they had flagged where GLM had flagged the wetland line, and coming forward just to see if they're picking up any wetland soils underneath that.
Okay,
I think
That
that'd
also
a
be
good
done
idea.
on our property, like, because it's abutting. I mean, the land that is now filled on their property, it's filled. It's got 100, 150 dump trucks on top of it.
okay. I think that may be a suggestion that we want to go forward with, Jim. So maybe what we should do is continue this to the next meeting. And in the meantime, Janet, reach out to Beta or Tetra, whoever might be able to get out there and do some soil samples and do them behind both lots or on both lots. Does that sound reasonable, Janet?
Sure.
Okay. Commissioners, any other comments? Questions? Okay, Then I'll entertain a motion to continue 16 Valentine Drive until January 13th at 7:20.
Alan Finney, so moved.
Ellie Fair, second.
Okay, Dave Turi, aye.
Allie Fair, aye.
Jim Wilson, aye.
Alex Whiteside, aye.
Val Stone, aye.
Al Finney, aye.
Fred LaBerge, aye.
Alex is able to vote on that? Amy, Janet?
Sorry?
I'm just clarifying that you can vote on this.
Tonight is the first time we've heard it, so yes.
Okay. All right. Then it's passed unanimously, and we'll get back in touch with the landowners after Janet contacts and gets a land sample person. So thank you, both families, and we'll continue it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, let's go back to 144 Seekonk Street. No, I'm sorry, 136 North Street.
Oh.
Yeah, always a phone when you don't want it.
Okay, and that is Ken Brown.
Evening.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
you might want to mute, or unmute, I mean.
Can you hear me? You got
Yeah.
me, Amy?
Yep.
okay, Janet,
Janet.
things have been marked.
Yes, Mr. Brown, I did go out there Tuesday. And because the bank was flagged after our last meeting, so those flags were out there. I saw those flags out there. I appreciate you're putting the stakes out for the property line, so that took care of those questions that were dangling. So
Great.
yep. So, you know, this plan is showing how your work is. I lost the 100. Oh, there's the 100-foot riverfront. So you're in that 100, 200-foot riverfront area.
Correct. Yep.
You're in the 100-foot buffer. You know, it's a pre-existing lot before the riverfront and everything. So I'm okay with what you have here. And when I had talked with David, I had mentioned if it's okay to just, I don't have any more issues. And if
Thank
it's
you.
okay to continue this to the January meeting so I can get the paperwork ready, get it off to the members for them to review as far as conditions or whatever. And then hopefully just, you know, wrap this up at the January meeting.
Okay with me.
Commissioners, any comments, questions?
I just have one on the proposed barn. Is that in red there? Is that what's proposed new?
Correct. Yes, that's in red.
And the black is the old barn that you're gonna
That's
tear
correct.
down?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Might get a little smaller. Prices are going up. Things are going up, so we might get a little smaller on that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that.
I missed it by a year, but we'll make do. But I think it might get a little bit smaller here than it is shown there right now. But that was the largest I put down.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any abutters?
Donna
in the
Jones,
audience?
Donna Jones?
Hello, this is Donna Jones.
Yes, Donna.
Janet, did Doug Williams send you a communication?
About
I thought he,
what?
this Mass Audubon owns the property that's 130, would be 138 Main, North Street. And I mentioned this project to him, and I thought he said he sent Janet a note. And I didn't know if you had received the note and if the issue had been addressed.
From Russ Waldron?
No, from
Doug
the-
Williams.
Oh, Doug Williams, no, his email, and I do believe I sent that on to, Mr. Brown. Because,
Yes,
Okay,
right, because
Yeah.
Doug Williams had questions, asking if that back property line could be staked. And Mr. Brown was, kind enough to put out some nice, very obvious, stakes with
Prop-
fluorescent paint, which was very easy to find, because he'll also, I guess, need that for his building permit or something. So,
correct.
it helps all the way around. But I had gotten an email from Doug Williams and I sent that on to Mr. Brown, because as an abutter, I wanted him to know any abutter's concerns.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna.
okay, hearing no other comments, then what I'd like to do is continue 136 North Street, 240-0636 until the 13th at 7:25 PM.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Would I need to be
Who's
present
this?
on that? Would I,
What's it,
this is
Ken?
Ken Brown. Yeah, Ken Brown, the owner, property owner.
Yes.
Would I need to be present at that meeting, or is that just for the paperwork and just something as far as your internals? And we all sat here with this.
Administrative, unless something drastic comes up, which we would notify you of.
You'd notified me anyways, because
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be away. So, yeah,
Okay,
just, all right. Thank you for that.
you're welcome. So do I get a motion? Alan,
I'll make a motion, so move, Dave.
thank you.
Ally Fair, second.
Okay, Dave Turi, aye.
Ally Fair, aye.
Jim Wilson, aye.
Fred LaBerge, aye.
Goldstone, aye.
Al Finney, aye.
Okay, it passes. We'll see. We'll do it on the 13th at 7:25, Ken. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have nice holidays.
Yeah.
You too. Thank
You too. Thank you.
Okay, which brings us to 144 Seekonk Street. Who is online for that?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. You have Attorney Christopher Agostino here for the applicant, Lakeland Hills. Here with some new faces on the development team. It's been a while since I was last before this commission. Very different circumstances, and we're meeting via Zoom, which it was a lot different last time I was before the board. So I hope everybody's been well since then. But I'm here tonight with Bisher Hashem of Stonebridge Homes and Jim Pavlik of Outback Engineering, who are now the development team behind Lakeland Hills LLC. And when I was last before the board, this board and the zoning board got a crash course in some of the intricacies of administrative law and Chapter 40B. And I think through this board's or through this commission's hard work and attention to detail in the Wetlands Protection Act process, it really helped refine and drive the design of the development at 144 Seekonk Street that ultimately resulted from the Chapter 40B process before the zoning board. And as we had stated previously, once the process before the zoning board concluded, we would be back before this board with a notice of intent to actually propose the final design elements for the project and fully vet the project under the Wetlands Protection Act. And the result of the zoning board process under 40B was that the local wetlands protection bylaw was waived. So the notice of intent application before this commission now is seeking a permit under the State Wetlands Protection Act and review exclusively under the State Wetlands Protection Act of the final detailed design plans that have been submitted to this board. And in particular, compliance with the performance standards under the Wetlands Protection Act and the stormwater management regulations.
Okay, excuse me if I could interrupt you at this point. Do we have a DEP number?
I believe Mr. Pavlik is the chief engineer. You can tell us whether or not we have a DEP number yet. Jim, can you let us know where we're at on that?
Yes, good evening. For the record, Jim Pavlik from Outback Engineering.
Yes, Jim.
And at this point, as of today, we have not received the DEP file number.
Okay. It's this board's policy typically to continue this until we do get the DEP number and not further discuss it until we do have that.
Yeah, we were anticipating a short meeting this evening, and
This
we're
is
hoping. Yeah, but we were hoping that we might at least have the peer review team at least appointed and get a contract underway so that we can continue to vet the
Yeah.
revised design plans that are before the board. So I don't know if we can accomplish that this evening. And, you know, again, Mr. Chairman, just to give you a sense, I'm here for purposes of continuity and to introduce the new development team that's going to be taking over. But otherwise, we were expecting, you know, obviously an appointment of the peer review team to take a look at this. And I think one of the relevant points that I wanted to make is that during the Chapter 40B review process, the team at Tetra Tech really did have a hand in helping to shape what you see before you, which is much different than some of the plans that had been kicked around previously. So to kind of add to continuity and familiarity with the site at this point, I believe we had anticipated that the team at Tetra Tech would continue to review the project and the final design details from here.
We are in discussion with them about, and with Rich McCarthy, the town planner, about using Tetra Tech as our wetland consultant. But again, we will not put them under contract until the DEP number comes through.
Okay.
If I may, David,
Yes, Janet.
just so they're clear too, and I don't have it in front of me, but I've been talking to someone over there at Tetra Tech about this, and they're hopefully writing up the proposal. And it would be nice to see that ahead of time to make sure that they're covering concerns or questions or whatever. So we are working on that, and hopefully we'll have the stuff together for the next meeting. You know, we bringing them up to date too about, and I had scanned and sent over to them copies of the ANRAD and then the one done by the state and plans or whatever. So just to try to keep this moving forward as best we can.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
So, yeah, I think at the January meeting, we'll be in a good place to review the development and the peer review and get that underway. And so we can get this done as quickly as possible for the developers and for the town to make sure it meets the state requirements for wetlands. So with that, I would like to get a motion to continue 144 Seekonk Street until the 13th at 7:30.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
will you be taking any questions from the public?
Does anybody have a question from the public?
Yes.
Okay.
Deb Gersha?
Please speak.
Hi, can you folks hear me okay right now?
Yeah, please identify yourself.
Hello, my name is Deborah Gersha and I live on Seekonk Street. I live at 143 Seekonk.
Yes.
So I was reviewing the plans today and these plans appear to be totally different plans than what the zoning board approved under the comprehensive permit. And one of the things I noticed about my particular lot on the drawings was that it showed clear cutting of vegetation going back approximately 40 feet. And my understanding was that for this project, my vegetation would only be cleared to the right of way that the town maintains. And when I looked at the drawing, it was page number 16, I saw clear cutting that appeared to be going back 40 feet. I guess 1 inch on the plan is equal to 40 feet on the plan. And just ballparking it, it looked like clear cutting of 40 feet.
Oh, wait a
And,
minute, which plans were you looking at? The printed plans or the original ones?
Well, what I did was the current plans that were submitted to the Conservation Commission.
But
So
are
what-
they the copies?
that are present here right now.
Yeah, these aren't to scale, correct, Janet?
No, I think they are the ones that we got
Are
to
they?
scale.
Right. So I've got
Okay.
some real concerns because this plan right now, the one that we're looking at, page 16, shows clear cutting on my land going back
Yeah.
approximately
Yeah,
40
that's
feet.
a planning board issue.
Well, no, like the planning board, what they did was they submitted another set of plans. So my question is, if these plans are different, shouldn't these plans go back to the zoning board? And is the zoning board in the loop about these plans?
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to give a quick summary just to maybe satisfy some of these general questions?
Okay.
So, Ms. Gershaw, the next step in the process is a review by this commission strictly on wetland-related issues. And then once this commission vets all the wetland-related issues under the State Wetlands Protection Act, we do have to go back before the zoning board with then what will be marked as final plans. And the zoning board will review any changes like the matter that you're describing. However, I think what would be better, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the development team, because those types of things aren't, as Mr. Chairman Turi indicated, jurisdictional before this board. But yes, there are going to be changes that are going to be implemented in the plan just through the general planning process, but then also any changes or nuances that were required for us to get a notice of intent approval from this commission. So that's the process. You're right. We do have to go back before the zoning board with final plans when the time is right, and all these issues will be raised at that point. And I think that's the better time to raise a question like that ultimately. But again, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the development team if you have a question about something like that. But Mr. Turi's right that general questions like that aren't really jurisdictional before this commission.
Well, the other question that I had was the orientation of the townhouses. It's a totally different than
Okay, no, stop you there. Again, this is a zoning board issue, and you need to talk to them about it. If it's related to wetlands, we'll listen, but that's it.
Well, there is the question about the wetlands. They're moving the townhouses, the revised plan that's up here now. The townhouses are moving closer to the wetlands.
We understand that, and we'll address that at the next meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we welcome your comments. It's just that, again, our practices has been until we get the DEP number and it's approved, we don't open it up to that kind of discussion and detail. Because we want to make sure it's an ongoing project and the DEP's approved it or gave the number. Anybody else in the audience?
Yes, we have Jen Wynn.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Mr. Chairman and Conservation Commission. I really appreciate everything that you do. I have high respect for
What's your
anyone.
address?
Oh, sorry, 3 Hemlock Lane in Norfolk,
Okay.
02056. Have high respect for anyone who does this volunteer, especially for something that is so important to nature and our ecosystem. So that's, sorry if I come in as a Monday morning quarterbacker here, but I am, especially with the high scrutiny 40Bs have right now in town, I am concerned that I question why the developers are coming back and wanting to dig into the wetlands. We know how important that is for conservation and the ecosystem. And I can respect that Mr. Lawyer Agostino wants to make money for his client and whatnot. I understand that. However, there is a fine ecosystem balance, and this is what Norfolk is about. I don't understand why this is changing all of a sudden. I find it suspect. And I'm just hoping that you really take a good look at why the original plans can't be as they are and not disturb the wetlands. This is part of Stop River. That's extremely important to our environment. And that's pretty much just asking the Conservation Committee to really take a hard look at whether or not, according to the Wetlands Act, whether you can approve this. For the
Okay.
future, I understand you need the DEP. That's
Okay,
it.
we appreciate your
Just care about
comment.
animals and conservation, not about money.
Thank you. Again, we will get into that detail at the next meeting. And yeah, we'll give scrutiny over all the plans to make sure the wetlands and the state regulations. Because we had given them the ANRAD already for the town. So, thank you. Anybody
David?
else in the audience or commission?
David,
Yes, Jim.
just want to kind of reiterate what I've said in the past is that there are two sides of this, but the most important thing, and you've reiterated this, Mr. Chairman, is that our position is strictly to follow the guidance of the wetlands, not the intent of somebody developing the land. And the group that owns the property and wants to develop the property has just a right as much to develop on this property, following the guidelines, as someone who borders a property and may not like it. Unfortunately, with this commission, we can only look at the wetlands, and we understand, the positions of some people that may not like this. But, our position is just to follow the wetlands, and that's it, and not say, well, my neighbor doesn't like a 40B, so I'm just going to tell the attorney, I'm sorry, today, we're not going to let you do this. No, he has a right to come in here, present his plans with his client, and get our honest feedback of what he needs to do to conform to what the regulations are in the town. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we are playing on he is playing on an even playing field when he comes in front of the commission, and that we've been honest and upfront with, I believe, as a group, as honestly as we can. So I just want to say, that's where we're coming from as a commission.
Thank you, Jim.
Mr. Chairman, this is Karen Clark from Seekonk Street, 130. And I'm
Yes.
attempting to raise my hand, but unfortunately I'm unable to reach Amy. And
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Karen.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question does refer to the wetlands on this property. And if you compare the old plans that were approved, well, not old, the site plans that were approved by the ZBA, and compare them to this plan, there are very significant differences. And my understanding, reading the comprehensive permit that was signed by the ZBA in September of 2020, was that changes are allowed to site plans. However, those changes should not be significant in their impact to the overall site, and especially the wetlands. And I would at least like the Conservation Commission to take into their decision that statement in that comprehensive permit, because I can't tell you how many hours and how many meetings went before this set of plans that we're looking at now and what the abutters expected is much different than what is being presented to us this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Believe
No?
so, I don't see any.
Okay, then let's continue this until the 13th at 7:30. Is there a motion?
Alan Finney, I'll make a motion to continue to the 13th at 7:30.
Second?
Burge, I'll second.
Okay, Dave Turi, aye.
Ally Fair, aye.
Jim Wilson, aye.
Alan
Val
Finney,
Stone,
aye.
aye. Val Stone, aye.
Fred LaBerge, aye.
Alex Whiteside, aye.
Alan and Val did good coordination on answering tonight.
Sorry there, Val.
Okay, we'll see you at, on the 13th at 7:30 PM. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Yep. Okay, let's go to 240-0590, 2 Clark Street, the Department of Corrections. And we reviewed this and had issued the OOC on demolition of their pump house. And so where do we stand, Janet?
Is someone here from
Yeah, I thought.
Department of Corrections?
Yes, hello. My name's Kyle Apigian. I'm with Woodard and Curran. We're the engineering firm representing the Department of Correction on this site.
Okay. And so you're seeking a COC?
Correct. Yes, then that's coming after 2 years of wetland monitoring of the restored wetland after the project was completed.
Okay. Is everything intact, Janet?
Yes. No, they've been very good. Any questions that I've had, I've emailed them or however, but answering everything, having everything done properly, so.
And they've seeded and all that, right?
They sent their reports, they sent wonderful pictures and
Yep.
they did good. On this one, we'll give them an A on this one.
Okay.
So I have no problems with giving them a full COC.
And you have that prepared?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Yeah, I think this project has gone well. So I will accept a motion to provide a COC for 240-0590, 2 Clark Street.
Move to Ally Fair, I move to issue a full COC for 240-0590, 2 Clark Street.
Is there a
Val Stone,
second?
second.
Any other discussion? Dave Turi, aye.
Ally Fair, aye.
Jim Wilson, aye.
Fred LaBerge, aye.
Alex Whiteside, aye.
Val Stone, aye.
Alan Finney, aye.
All right, it passes. We'll have that signed off this week. Kyle, stay in contact with Amy and when you can pick it up.
Will do. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kyle,
Yes.
Kyle, my email address is abrady, ABRADY.
Okay. I'll reach out to you. I think. Yeah.
That's at norfolk.ma.us.
Okay. Fabulous.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Okay, that takes us to 360 Main Street, Camger. Is the engineer, no, is she on, somebody representing the Camger?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Dan Iannuzzi, property owner, 360 Main Street, Norfolk, Mass. Good evening. Unfortunately, Katie was not able to attend the meeting tonight. I know she has been kind of corresponding with Janet and Amy, and hopefully I'm prepared to answer any questions that might come up. Our belief is this is a minor modification to the site, that it's an improvement on the site. I believe Janet has all the details of what we've done.
The screen. Sorry, my whole screen just changed. I didn't touch anything. It's not me. I don't know what that is.
A drawing or anything, a plan, Amy, on the new modification?
You're on mute, Amy.
Okay, so in summary, Dan, you're taking away less material, correct?
Can you guys not see my screen?
No.
No.
Well, it's white. It says resources.
Need resources on using Zoom during COVID-19 pandemic.
Hey, Karen.
Really?
Yeah, let me shut this off.
Oh, okay, wait, I think I know. Hold on.
Oh, that looks better. Thank you.
How's that?
There you go.
There.
Okay.
In summary, Dave, yes, that was the major effort here. We had over 100 trucks originally that were planned to come off the site with earth. And if everybody knows the infamous corner down by the old City Mills barn, we felt that that might be an issue, as well as, of course, wanting to keep as much material on site that we could. So, the building was raised slightly. Some banking was done on the right. So all of the things that Katie had done in an effort to go back were very successful in keeping the majority of the material on site.
How many trucks do you think will be coming off with material?
Originally, I think you were looking at over 140. I think we're down to approximately 30 trucks now.
Okay. Is there a page on your plan that would be best to show the difference? Or doesn't it show up that way?
And it should. Yeah.
It's in the detail.
Yeah, isn't it always? Okay, so I think if we look at this here, of course, I think everyone can get their arms around the aspect of raising the building to keep material there. On the right side where the parking lots are, there was going to be an embankment there, and that embankment was enlarged a little bit. It was increased to keep some of the material there. We moved some of the material out back by the water storage tank, the propane tank area. We did some regrading there, as well as some regrading of the parking lot. And those were some of the major areas that we looked to keep some of the earth on site.
Okay. So yeah, we don't get too many modifications that are in the positive. So this is great that you've re-engineered it and less material coming off the site. And I'm sure the planning board and ZBA are happy about that too.
I was going to say, those are some of the keys, that this has, gone through the planning board again. It's also gone through Phil with Beta again. So we've got our approvals there. We just needed to get back in front of you guys just to full disclosure.
Okay.
And it's important to
understand. Comments, or Janet, do you have something to say?
If I may, first of all, question, I lost my camera. So there's no I'll propose changes that are outside the buffers in the riverfront area, right? So there's no changes, there's no increase in wetland impacts.
You beat me, Janet. I was trying to get that in there before you. That is correct statement, yes.
Okay, and how, you know, Beta had looked over it and they're okay with it. I know Katie, I got the impression she was a little upset with me and I apologize. The thing is, we gave you the order of conditions, which is fine, but on that order of conditions, we're referencing the plan from before. So now if you think of it, think of a blank thing, but if people look at that, you know, we're referencing and we're supposed to be looking at those plans from before, it's changed. So anybody looking at it, it's like, oh my God, what are they doing? This is different. So all we're trying to do, and I've checked with DEP, so I've gone around with DEP. It's basically here, the commission, because they don't have to allow any changes. They can say, no, you know, you're stuck with what you got, or you can do a whole new filing. The commission can choose to amend the order, which is basically what we're doing. We'd like to do, you'd like to do, but according to DEP policy, an ad has to go into the paper and you have to notify abutters because they have a right as people next door. Oh my God, what are they doing? Is this gonna drop fill on my house or whatever their concerns are? So this way we can change that original order issued and put in these new plans, because that's what everybody should be looking at and referencing once you guys start working. So that's all that is. It's kind of aggravating, but it's a technical, nice, legal paper trail for what we're doing. You had the permit with the other conditions. Now, you know, and other plans, now you want to just change, you know, and update those plans. And we need to show that on the permit that was issued. The good part for you is you people, I don't think have recorded that yet. So it's not like, you know, you're paying extra for, think of that as the trade-off. You're not paying extra for the registry of deeds. So we need, according to DEP, to do the ad and just to notify abutters. So we're doing this properly. And then all we do is, if everyone's okay, change the date on that page for, you know, the plan information. So this plan will be what everyone will be looking at. End of my story for now.
So it's just a procedural
Yes.
issue.
Procedural, however, nothing can start on the site until that procedure is fulfilled. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, right now you have an order of conditions referencing a different set of plans, but technically you can't start yet because you haven't recorded that.
Okay. I did speak to Katie today, and I think where we were slightly confused is, you know, wondering how we got through the planning board and that whole process, where we're not impacting buffer and things like that. As long as everybody looks at it as a minor, you know, that there was maybe, I don't know if exemption's the word, but I think you understand where I'm going with that. But if it's a procedural issue that needs to be addressed, it's a procedural issue that needs to be addressed.
Right. And it's just, that's it. It's just to change that on the order of conditions that were previously issued to reference these new plans. Maybe there's more pages, less pages, but this will be the plan of record for the site as far as conservation goes. That's all.
Okay.
So what we would look to do is continue this until January, but also go through the procedure of having you, we'll publish the newspaper notice and you notify the abutters, correct? Janet? Amy?
Yeah, it really wouldn't be a continuation. This is, the commission should be voting if this is okay to be the order of conditions that was previously issued to be amended, and it's a minor revision. So,
Okay, so there's a couple options. One, if it can be amended. Two, if these changes are minor and don't need to go through that procedure. Or three, do follow the procedure stated by the state and have it at the January meeting.
Right, since the plans have changed, you know, I think it's, it should be noted on the order of conditions, because we're referencing different plans
Yeah,
than what's coming here. So it's just per se a paper change, but that way, that's what'll be recorded, and that's what hopefully everybody will be referencing once they start doing their work.
okay. Commissioners?
I think doing that as an amendment is probably the proper way to do it.
Okay. Seeing that, we should take a vote, correct, to state that we need to amend the order of conditions for these modifications and new plans.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Need a
Yeah.
motion, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to amend the modifications for 240-0622, 360 Main Street, Camden.
I don't know if that's the way we want to word this.
No?
No,
No, because we're not doing it now.
to recommend that they amend.
Recommend
Yeah,
is your word, Alan.
Okay. I make a motion, we recommend the modifications to 240-0622, 360 Main Street, Camden.
oh, and it should be 627. That was that was the wrong number for them. That was their other filing.
So it's 240-0627,
7, thank you, yes.
360 Main Street, Camden.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
Alex Whiteside, second.
Any further discussion from the commission? Any abutters? Dan,
Yes, sir.
any comments?
No, other than thank you everyone for your time this evening.
Okay, we'll take a vote now, then Dave Turi, aye.
Sally Fair, aye.
Jim Wilson, aye.
Fred LaBerge, aye.
Alex Whiteside, aye.
Val Stone, aye.
Alan Finney, aye.
Okay, it passes, and we'll do it on the 13th at 7:05. So it'll be the second thing we talk about on that Wednesday, and we'll get it through. So, yeah, please do your abutter notifications, and Amy will publish it in the newspaper.
Thank you.
Dan.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Aye.
Janet?
What?
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something.
No, I said good night to him, so.
Oh, okay. So that takes us to old business, Recreation Department. Gotta bend down and get my files. Okay. I did see Will is on the line and Ann.
How are you?
Good. Thank you for attending.
My pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Okay, so Janet, have they received these documents?
I sent these to commission members.
Okay, Amy, can you turn that document around?
Let me see.
Well, I guess that's really not necessary on that page. Why don't you scroll up?
Which page do you want? What are we looking
Keep
for?
going, keep going. Okay, then we found the deed, everything, so it's all clean. Go ahead, continue.
That's the end.
Oh, that's, okay.
Are you looking for the drawings?
Yeah,
These drawings?
yeah.
Okay. So,
Can you change that direction or scroll it up?
oh, his view. Hold on.
Okay.
Good job.
Janet, how much land is there?
That's right
Estimate?
there, David. I didn't know you were gonna ask me that. That's on the paperwork that you said it wasn't. Um,
4.5 acres, something like that?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. So the question, Alex, I don't think, because you weren't here at the last one, the Recreation Department is asking if we might be able to do something with this conservation property to help them out with fields. So that's why we did I should say Janet did the research, not we, on the deed and the state regulations. Of that 4.5 acres recreation, how much would you want to use?
So it would be approximately 50 feet from the vertical line over. It could be the whole length. The most important part, do you see the white rectangle
Yes.
there? So that's the field, and a little bit lower and a little bit higher. That's the area that we really need, is really important. That's the field right there. It's in the middle. And that white rectangle, just in case people are curious, is a tarp that we use sometimes when we have to grow seed and have it germinate a little earlier. So that's why there's a white rectangle in the field. It could be the whole length of that line, and it would be about 50 feet over. And I apologize, I'm not sure of the length of that entire length of that entire line. Is it 500 feet? I'm not, I'm. So if it's 500 feet, that's about 25,000. So, I mean, it's probably, it's probably 3/4 of an acre.
Okay, so you would go 50 feet over from the red line, all the way from north and south?
Yes. And that would bring us right, we would have the soccer field right up to the edge, which usually you have, a few, another 10 feet or so, 15 feet for spectator seating, but I don't think you'd actually have to have it on that side because it's available on the other side.
Okay. Would this be cleared cut then? That 50 feet?
So it would be, except down right in the corner where the hand is right now.
Yeah.
It's already clear. It's not much, but it is already clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, David, I have a.
Yes, Jim.
Just a thought, and maybe Alex would answer this legally. Would it be much more beneficial if we just took off 50 or 60 feet by the length and just changed the deed and deeded it to the recreation department or the school?
We really don't have to. We can just say that this is passive recreation and keep it part of our property instead of going through the whole deed process, which will cost the town, I think, legal money and stuff. But Alex, what do you think?
I mean, these type of issues, I normally recommend that it be referred to town council.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation.
Okay.
Not having seen the title history or anything here, I can't really offer much.
Okay, so tonight, I mean, I think it's because we have additional information and one that we can approve it for passive recreation. Is to get, to talk about it amongst the commissioners and then, and also with recreation on board. To get a feeling if this is something we want to go ahead with, and we'll take that lead, Alex, and if there's a consensus to go forward, and turn it over to town council on what is the best way to handle that appropriation.
Yeah. Agreed, Mr. Chairman. Personally, I'm all for it. I think it's just a matter of town council working out legally what the proper real estate conveyancing practice would be here.
Okay.
I agree.
Val,
I also agree.
comments? Alan?
I just have one question. Where did we get this land? Was it donated? Was it given to the town conservation for open space?
No, if you read it's from the railroad.
So the railroad just, they just wanted to unload it and gave it to the conservation. I did see something about the railroad on that.
Right there, yep.
So this
Thank you,
wasn't
Wayne.
from a town resident or anybody. It's from the Penn Central. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so there's no caveats to it.
Yeah, that, I was just, I don't know if it was Jim or somebody had mentioned something about if it's donated by a resident for open space, that it wouldn't be right to do something else with it,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, we would continue the directive of the donor.
Yes. So being the railroad, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Let me work with Janet and Amy, and we'll come up with a letter to the town council describing what we'd like to do and have him give his view on it.
Sounds
And
good.
hopefully by the next meeting, we can have that, some feedback from them. We'll ask them to have it back before then.
Thank you very much.
I
If you
think
need
that's a
anything from
reasonable
me.
approach. Yeah, and then once he gives us his opinion, then we can talk about trade-offs.
Okay,
What
sounds,
do you want
sounds
to,
good.
you want to play little kid soccer now, David?
Hey, don't pick on me. Alan, go after Jim. Okay, thank you, Bill and Ann.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Good night.
Night.
I think that is it, correct?
I think
For our
so.
agenda tonight.
I don't see anything else on this agenda.
Okay. In that case, anybody else have a comment from the audience? Commissioners? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn and have a happy holiday. And stay well.
Same to you.
And
Same to
Fred
you,
wants to make that
Chairman.
motion
I'll,
to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn.
Alex. Yeah.
I'm
he's
sorry,
back.
what was that?
That's
is
Alex.
back.
Okay.
Did we get a second?
Second, Ally.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. And again, thank you and for all the work and yeah, have a nice holiday with your family and friends and stay healthy and COVID-free.
You too,
Thanks,
Dave.
everyone.
Same to everyone.
Take care,
Happy
everyone.
holidays.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks,
Good
Amy.
night.
You bet. Good night.
Janet.
Good night, thank you.
Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas.
Oh,
Same
same
to
to
you,
you,
Donna.
Donna.